to get the jitters out, we're going to talk a little bit on the mic, and then when I feel like we're good and ready, we will start the episode today. I'm glad we're hanging out again, by the way.
That's true.
I am. I'm really happy.
I was telling Mom, I was like...
Your mom was actually very happy about that.
Yeah.
The day she called, and she was like...
Yeah.
She was like, oh, it's good that you guys are hanging out again.
Because you're in the car? I forgot you were hearing.
We're both single, right?
Yep.
Single?
Yep.
Okay.
Single as a Pringle.
It's just, I don't know. I don't look at it as a bad thing, honestly. I don't want to be too laid back. See, this is what I...
It depends, because I think the friendships that I make prior to meeting someone romantically, I think that kind of overtakes a little bit. At least in the beginning. And you get married, and it's a little different.
How about... Well, yeah. Touche to that. But why does it have to wait till marriage, too, though, right? You know what I mean?
Well, in my mind...
You don't see it like...
The romantic partner is going to get to know my friends, so I wouldn't exclude...
No. Remember the question was? The question was like, if you're dating someone, or you hanging out with a guy alone? That was...
I have. But you know what? I think it bothered him, but he never told me, though.
There we go.
So I think that's
that could definitely be...
I think it's like a natural... It's like a regular way of...
Maybe... But let's talk about it, because this will give us, like, the conversation starters.
Okay.
I just feel like, yeah, that could definitely be it.
I think he just never said anything.
Much. Guys don't say much.
Depends the guy, yeah.
I vocalized it. Only because at first I didn't. So you can see. I didn't vocalize what I liked and what I didn't like, because I thought it was a little bit toxic. I won't lie to you. I thought it was toxic.
What, the friendship or like you?
No, that I never wanted to restrict a relationship. And I don't like using that word restrict. But when I started noticing, like, it's not... Later on, when I finally developed more into the relationship, right? After like a year and a half into the relationship, I was like, I just don't like this individual. And I had my reasons. And that individual proved it. You know what I mean? And this is what I'm telling you. As much as you might say to me...
But that's different, though, because you didn't like the friend.
I didn't like a lot of her friends that were guys.
What do you think? Do you think it would have been different if you did?
No. Hypothetically, let's say we dated, right? Give me a good friend that I know too.
That's a guy?
Yeah.
You don't know any guy friends that I'm currently friends with.
Give me someone that you used to be friends with then.
Like in our group? Because that's like...
It could be in our group. No. What's the other dude's name? The dude that I know. You told me a story about him. First I thought. Let's say you were, right?
Yeah.
I would not be okay with that.
Why?
I just think I know guys' intentions. And especially because he's the type of fuckboy player. Even though you say there might not be history.
I think that's an assumption, though.
It is. It's a huge assumption.
I mean, I'm not going to deny that maybe in his mind.
Absolutely. But
it was never... not even the vibe was ever like that. Like, ever.
Yeah, I know. It's not... But, like...
If anything, he would give me advice about the relationship I was in a lot.
Yeah. I don't know. This is just comes from a thing, like... I don't know. As a guy, I just, like... It's not that we don't trust you. We trust you.
You don't trust the guys.
I don't trust the guys.
Yeah, I know.
Guys are not to be trusted. Especially if we're not bros. Like, fuck that. If he was my bro, I think I'd trust him. I'd be okay. I know the best. But at the same time, I know my bro would never do that to me. Like,
yeah,
I know
that's
my bro
why
would never put himself in a position hanging out with my girlfriend alone. He'd be like, that's fucking weird.
That would be weird, even the other way around.
But you see what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It's just, I don't know. But that's what I'm saying. I don't know. We have different views on it, but at the same time, you don't. Unless you're married, you said, right? Then it's different.
Because in my mind, I'm never going to hang out with someone that my significant other doesn't know and hasn't already hung out with.
See, but you think you should be hanging out with a stranger that's a dude while you're in a relationship?
A stranger?
Yeah, like someone that you just, like, why would you get to meet a guy?
No, that's different. I'm talking about, like, guy friends that I've already made. I would hope that whoever the significant other that I meet afterwards respects the friendships that I've already made. On the other side, I don't like new friendships during the relationship.
No, yeah, that's fucked up.
So I wouldn't make a new guy friend while I'm in a relationship,
yeah.
And I would want the other person to do the same thing. Now, if they already came with that friendship, especially if it's...
Cool with me hold on. With a bunch of my friends girls?
But I wasn't just any other friend. I was like, we were like best friends.
We were great friends.
So, okay, great for you, best for me.
Great. No, I feel like that's better than best.
So there was like a level... we didn't have like a surface level friendship, so that's why it, like, I guess bothered me a little bit more. Which
You know what it was too,
But
though.
it didn't bother me at the time. I didn't really, because it wasn't until you told me what it was about that bothered me. Because before I didn't know, so I was just
Yeah,
like,
yeah, exactly.
we were
I
living
just didn't want.
lives like that was
I didn't
fine.
want anyone to hate my girlfriend for it, but also, I didn't want anyone to do that because I viewed it the same way. You know what I mean? Like, because if they hated my girlfriend for that, then they didn't like my point of view either. Because I was like, well, I'm
It wasn't your
respecting.
idea, you said, because you didn't like one of the guy friends. So then, like, you said you made it
To be
like a
honest with
role.
you, I don't want to mix timelines because I don't remember who said what first.
Oh, because I remember you telling me
It
that.
could have been me. It could have been her. I don't remember. But what I will say is that I just felt like it was 100% respected and understandable. Like I didn't find it as something in like, oh no, that's fucked up, because I just said to myself, like, and also hypothetically, like in my defense, the only thing that I will say in my defense is I really thought you were gonna still continue with the group, and then it just started dying, dying, dying,
That's
dying.
true.
Like I never thought that I would
But
not even
like,
see you.
then if anything, maybe I would have felt differently, or maybe not. Who knows? This is
What
a
I tell
while
you,
ago.
what I
But
what
maybe the lack of communication, maybe you could have
correct.
told me
That's what I'm gonna do for the
that.
future. If this ever happens again, I'm gonna communicate this from the very start. In the beginning, it was like,
But first is communication with your significant other.
no, of
And if they
course,
have
of
like an
course.
issue with it, then it's a communication with friends.
Listen, I don't. I wouldn't blame a girl for telling me that because I look at my friends that are girls, and honestly, I will tell you, ladies, by the way, like I'm not ashamed to say it in front of camera or in person. I'll tell it to your face. A lot of my friends that are girls are very beautiful. You know, I would hope that. No, that's so fucked up. I was like, I would hope
What are you about to
my
say?
friends with ugly people. No, no. But a lot of the girls that are in the group are very beautiful girls.
Yeah, they
Like,
are.
and anyone would be ignorant to say otherwise. So,
Or blind.
yeah. So when my girlfriend or whoever my girlfriend was at the time, hypothetically, were to say to me like, I kind of feel a little bit weird like when you're like, why would you need to hang out with them alone? It's not that I don't trust myself or trust you. I've learned to come to understand that when there's variables added to events, things, where even if it's a solo event or a group event, there are variables that are being added, like alcohol, some, depending on the group, alcohol, weed, drugs, whatever. I don't do anything past a certain level. But I understand that my girlfriend or my significant other doesn't even want me to be in that situation. Like, can you avoid that situation for me? Is there enough respect for you to avoid it? Like, are you gonna cry over not hanging out with a person? And I viewed it as like, okay, that's a green light. I don't mind it because it's not hurting me because I'm building something with you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna respect your boundaries as long as it's reasonable. And to me, in my, the way I was viewing it, it felt reasonable. You know what I mean? And that's one thing but you're correct in saying that. Like, I'm definitely gonna fix that for the future. If that's how my partner feels, I'm gonna communicate with that with
Yeah.
you. I was just embarrassed because I felt like I was a pussy at the
Why?
time. I don't know. That's how a
That's a
guy
harsh
thinks.
word. So like,
It is, but that's my honest truth. I just emotionally, I felt like kind of embarrassed to say that to you. That's a better word to use. Embarrassed to like say to you, hey, by the way, I'm gonna limit ever hanging out. Like, imagine how that sounds. Like, imagine I
I
were
mean,
to
it
tell you,
depends how you say it,
no, I don't think there's anything
but
nice to
I
say.
don't
Like, you're
know.
always gonna feel some type of, oh, this motherfucker chose her over me. Like, you know what I mean? And
Yeah. But
no
I
one
also
will
feel like
understand our
it's,
friendship
I don't
though.
know. I feel like that's what I'm saying. I feel like it depends the level of friendship.
But no one's gonna understand what me and you've been through.
But like,
Can you imagine?
if
And I didn't even
if it
tell
was the
her.
other way around, I'd be like, that's my best friend. Like that there shouldn't be an issue. And if there's an issue, then we have an issue.
Yeah, it's just
Because
weird
like
though.
I when there's nothing ever
Try to
like
explain to the
even
camera our friendship. I bet you're gonna have a hard time doing it. I can guarantee you
he's
are.
been at my lowest lows, and that's how I've gotten, well, first of all, I met you when we worked together.
You know.
And then
That's,
that was fun because
why was that fun, Giselle?
you and I were very like, everyone
I'm
else
gonna
is
pretend to
mad in
be.
this
Hold on, hold
place.
on, hold on. I'm gonna pretend we're doing a role play right now. I'm gonna pretend to be like that jealous boyfriend, and you're gonna be you explaining to why you're hanging out with Puka. Okay?
Oh wait,
I'm
so
gonna
we're
tell you.
switching
Yeah,
it
I'm gonna
now?
tell you like, hey, Giselle, I don't like that you have your friend Puka so close to you.
I'm not kidding. I would tell them why not? Why is that an issue? Like that's my best friend and you gotta
Well, I know
accept
how
them.
guys think. Puka's definitely thinks you're hot and probably wants
That's
to sleep with
not
you
the
if
case.
he gets the chance.
That's not the case.
Prove it to me. How does that make sense?
How would I gotta prove it to you? This is a friendship that I've had for like what, 10 years now?
I don't know. I feel
Almost
like
10 years, and then now you're gonna come and be all jealous about it. That sounds like a you problem.
no, but I'm gonna tell you. Okay, so I'm gonna go hang out with my hot friend, Nicole.
How long have you guys been friends for? Has there been any
Years.
history? Like, feel free to ask all the questions that they
Yeah,
need to
yeah.
ask
No,
to
no.
learn
We've been
about.
friends as
I would
long
do
as you
the
and Puka
same
have been
thing.
friends for.
Okay, has there ever been any history?
Is there any history? No, of course not.
Okay.
So we're fine with it.
Yeah, I mean, the frequency of hanging
You
out
don't think
also matters,
you
though.
don't think
If you're trying to hang out with that person every weekend, then I might feel some type of way. But like, who I hung out with was like every couple of months.
I guess there's circumstances. I don't know.
I know.
It all depends on the
I
couple.
think it's
Horrible
complex.
role play for me. Sorry,
I
I
think it's
couldn't act like a
complex.
jealous boyfriend. I couldn't act like a jealous
I
boyfriend.
don't think
But
I've ever had a jealous boyfriend before.
I think
Or they've been very subtle about it.
a lot of males are afraid to vocalize it. I wasn't the jealous
Are they?
person. Yeah, of course.
I didn't know that.
First of all, number one rule about men. Maybe 90% of men.
I'm
Maybe
about to
the other
change the whole
10%.
topic because I'm into this
Yeah,
topic.
yeah, yeah, no. We can put this at the end. 90% of men are very insecure about vocalizing if they feel like it's a weakness to them. That's the god honest truth.
Mm.
Most and if you ask a guy, he's like, I don't care. Most fuckboys are broken people that have been through a lot and feel like every girl they do finally. You know what's really bad about fuckboys, and this can be about fuckboys, fuckgirls, or whatever. They just choose to finally trust on someone that shouldn't be trusted on, which is so weird.
Like after the fuck phase, or
Yeah, yeah, like they finally said, you know what, I'm gonna put my guard down. It's like, bro, and then like all of his boys would be like, nah, bro, that's not the girl you you put the walls down. It's like they choose it's like a cycle of bad habits.
mm.
You know what I mean? And they put the wall down for the wrong fucking person. Like they had a great person, and they weren't able to put the wall down for them. And then they have this
Mm.
other bitch. Sorry, but they have this
Meow.
other girl that like just fucking gives all the wrong signals, and they're like, you know what, this is the one. And
Mm.
all his boys are telling him like, bro, that is not like that guy slept with her like last week. Like, bro, like, what are you talking about? That's definitely not the one you dropped the wall for. And then they do, and then they go back into a reason to give themselves a reason to go back into this fucking fuckboy cycle. You know what
Why
I
do you
mean?
think that is?
I've never been a fuckboy, honestly. I really can't tell you that I have. I
Eh.
thought like one, but I can't tell you that I've been one. But I don't know. I just think it's a pattern of bad behavior.
Where does it come from?
Oh yeah, we could lead to that. Yeah.
Because I feel like that actually leads into the.
There we go. There we go. In my well, I'll give you my honest opinion, just because not just because I want to debate you. It can lead from family. I agree with you. It depends on the person, but I don't think it always leads from family. I think it really leads on from their first love, like breaking their heart, what they believe and they consume an obsession with of being their quote unquote first love. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the part where you would come in. Like, do you think it's a family?
I mean, I wouldn't rule out what you said that it can be from like experience of being in a relationship, but I definitely think that your choices, a person's choices on who they choose as a significant other, has a lot to do with their upbringing. I think so, and the attachment that they've had with their parents or lack of.
Give me an example. Oh well, I know what you're saying. Okay, so you're saying that the person that they're choosing to be their partner, hypothetically, is this what you're saying? Might be a bad no, a bad person to choose because of their upbringing,
No, it could be a good person too.
but it just doesn't work out.
I just think sometimes the person they choose either has similar traits to their parents,
Ah, okay.
whether it's the mother or father, or it's the complete opposite because they're searching for the opposite because they've experienced the actual poor part of their parents' traits.
I get what you're saying. Okay, I was looking at it more as if they can still have a good like partner, but once they get into the relationship, they start amplifying behaviors that their parents might have,
Mm, that can
which can
happen too.
also
Yeah.
lead to the relationship not working out.
Mm-hmm.
Like the other partner could be a perfect partner for them,
Mm-hmm.
but because of what they experience with their parents, they start exemplifying that in the relationship, thinking it's a pattern.
That too.
Oh, look at that! I sound so smart. I sound so smart. Well, that goes right into the first question, right? What effects does a person's upbringing have on them?
Let's see. I think depending your upbringing, it pretty much informs you like how to view people and like has to do with your self-esteem, your personality, and also like how you see the world. Because if you have like a parent that's, oh my gosh, like Hispanic parents, Rosa de Guadalupe in the news, and you can't do this, and you can't go out at this time because so and so, this happened in the news, I saw this, you got to be careful with that. Like a child can absorb that and think that the world's in a safe place to be in. And then
Isn't a safe place.
isn't a place, yeah, when they're very overprotective parents, that's like an example.
Now, my question to you is, why do you think a lot of Latin families resemble that pattern?
To be
Like, what do
honest,
you think it stems from? I think I have an answer. I want to hear your answer.
I think generationally there's been a lot of like trauma when it comes to like Hispanic population.
Give me more of an example. What you mean by that?
Wars, corruption in their country of origin. Um, Also generationally, like men are up here, right?
Like roles.
Yeah, and women's here. And for generations it's been made very clear to women you're down here and there's a certain expectations.
Oh, keep going.
And
Keep going.
so culturally men run the household and they're right and you aren't to speak back and they have certain expectations of like when they come home like you better have dinner ready, the clothes like, and if not then you're really shamed for it. So I think generationally women, at least in Hispanic culture, have been put down a lot and they've been taken advantage of and they've never, I
I
think it's
like
gotten
this.
better, but I think they've never been taught boundaries because they've always been told, even by mothers to their daughters, right?
Mhm.
You have to serve men.
I don't. I'm not gonna rebuttal what you said because I agree with like 75% that that's true. The other 25% of me is, and this is where my male side kicks in. I've been in both spectrums where I've seen what you're saying 100%. Like I've heard my mom say to my sister, give
Mm.
an example. Husband's home, cook him dinner, like
It can be very subtle ways, yeah.
yeah, like cook him dinner and like in cycles of it repeating it, like you feel like that is a role that you need to play. Now here's where I bring my opinion to this, and I might get really hated here. You might hate me a little
By
bit
like
for
the
this.
crowd or
Yeah,
by
yeah, I
me.
really you might hate me a little bit. I feel like roles shouldn't be looked bad upon depending on the family structure, right? Like like give you I'm gonna give me as an example, a perfect example, my family structure, because my parents are a lot older, so they live by that old school tradition, which I understand. It can be very negative in the wrong hands of the wrong man, the wrong male, like abuse of power. If a male
Mm-hmm.
believes that tradition, they can abuse that power. I feel like my dad never abused that power. And also, I didn't actually play, my family didn't play that role, that traditional role, by like 1,000%. They played it by like more like 70-30 or 60-40 at times because my mom did work, but my dad worked more,
Mm-hmm.
worked stricter hours, got more of the pay, used more of his pay to pay like the mortgage and stuff. So he felt like certain things in the family he shouldn't have to do. And my mom bought into it. But my mom was raised that way, so she didn't mind.
Mm-hmm.
At least from my knowledge, it's this is also true. Maybe I have to poke my mom a little bit more and ask her how she felt, maybe because maybe I don't know. But it looked like they had a good system working because my mom would come home at a reasonable time, unlike my father, and she would have to make dinner for me and my dad because I was still an I was still an adolescent, so I didn't know
Mm-hmm.
how to cook. Still don't know how to cook, by the way. But that's besides
Better
the
get
point.
on that.
Yeah, besides the point. I don't have to say that, but you guys can come at me. But I like the role that they played. Like it felt homey to me. It felt right, and even my parents made it work. Like I said, I've never questioned my mom, and maybe I should. Maybe there's more to it that I don't know. But my mom gave everything for my dad because my dad did so much. Like if I were to bore you with all the like immigrant family, dad took the risk, came to this country. I'm like, don't think I'm blowing it off, but I've repeated it so many times. Dad came to the country, did the impossible, got his residency thanks to Reagan, brought my family over, wasted thousands of dollars, worked 3 to 4 jobs within years of doing it. Became an alcoholic because he worked so much. My dad's been through the hell of like everything, and my mom honored him by taking that role. That's how I viewed it, and she didn't mind. So I'm saying, like, to me, I don't see a role being a bad thing as long as the male's not abusing it. And for the most part, I won't say that he did, because I do remember times where he did poke the bear, but he, for the most part, never. poked without giving. You get what I'm saying? Like,
Mm-hmm.
so that's why I don't view like a role thing as a bad thing. But I know as we grow up, things have to change. And that's why I expect, like, in the future, whoever my wife is, I'm not going to make her fit the role of my mom, but I'm going to expect her to bring her role. And if she expects something from me, I'm definitely going to live up to it. Like,
Because that's what you were used to like seeing growing up.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But no, like, if she says, Puka, you're going to clean Monday through Friday, all right, well, you're gonna work Monday through Friday too. Then, like, if I'm working Monday through Friday, you're working Monday through Friday, and if I'm cleaning Monday through Friday, then you're doing something else Monday through Friday. I think it's a give and take within structures like that.
Mm-hmm.
What's your opinion? I'm curious.
Like I got stuck on the part where you said your mom worked.
Yeah.
Why did she work?
Um, they wanted something better.
Was it out of need or was it because she wanted to? Because I think that matters.
There's from my mom's side, there's two reasons why she worked. One, to provide a better future for me, because that's been repeated throughout life. Like, if my mom didn't work, I think that me and my dad and my mom would have still stayed in Inwood, which was
So
a
financially,
rough
it
area.
was.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
a rough area. That's one reason. She wanted a better upbringing for me because she experienced a bad upbringing with my sister and my brother. That one didn't graduate high school, the other one got in trouble with the law, blah blah blah. So she said, if I stay in this kind of
Mm.
sector of poverty, we'll be okay, but my son won't be okay. So that's one reason I think she worked. She wanted a better upbringing for me, which so did my dad. So I mean, that they came to that head on together. The second reason is she wanted her own money, whatever she could get on her own, because my mom's a big helper. She likes to give to the poor, to the need of people in Peru. So my mom's like fucking the Pope over there.
Superhero.
Yeah, the Pope over there. She like they love her so much. She's given too much in my opinion, but whatever. That's not for me to say. Even though I
Even though
said
you
it.
already said it.
Even though I said it. It's not for me to put my opinion out there, even though I'm gonna do it. But I love you cousins, but sorry. She did way too much for y'all. Um because like I said, people abuse things. Like too
Yeah,
much of things, it gets abused.
it's true. If there's a balance, it's fine.
There never will be a balance. What do you balance? How do you balance something? How do you balance giving to the poor? Tell me that.
No, I mean like balance and roles too. I don't know. A part of me, and maybe this is my own thing. I actually haven't even done research on it, but like I feel like part of human nature is all about like power and control in some way, and that's why
Absolutely.
systems are the way they are. That's why there's
The Matrix.
subgroups and everything. Because I think there's a part of like human nature to feel safe. You need control and power. Like it's I don't know. It gets complex.
Well, yeah, that makes complete sense what you just said. I know we're branching off this topic completely, but you, wow, that's exactly what it is. You said to feel safe, you need control. Why would you need safe? Why would you feel safe if you were controlling everything?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Like that's like a redundant sentence. If you're controlling anything, you know nothing's coming behind you.
Mm-hmm. Or at least you're trying not to have anything come up that
Exactly.
yeah.
No, I agree with you 100%. That is why a lot of powerful people like control of things. Believe it or not, I've heard this on TikTok, and people can like cancel me for this, but this is just something I got from TikTok. I'm not saying this, but they say like we live in a modern day slavery because we're like puppets to everybody. Slavery was abolished, right? But what a new slavery is, what do you get? Like, this is just what I got from TikTok. They said slaves used to be promised a place of shelter and food. Yes, they were abused and stuff like that, because they were owned by a master. But nowadays, if you look at the modern day, you're given currency that's fake. Like, it means nothing unless the government says it means something, unless society considers it to mean something.
Mm-hmm.
And you're told, this is yours. Use that to save up and buy shelter and buy yourself the necessities. But just know, I'm only going to pay you what I think is fair to me and what you do for my business and live on with that. If you want something better, go work for another master, boss, and maybe
Mm.
he'll pay you more, but with more money comes more responsibilities. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I saw it and I was like, holy fuck, that's
It
Matrix.
makes sense. Just like I've heard about the whole school system, it's set up to make you an employee, not an
Oh,
employer.
the industrial setup.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that too. I think it's changing little by little, but I think we should just it's weird with education. I never know, like, because you can call out like a problem, but how do you solve it? Like, what would you teach in school? How about that?
Well, that's the issue. You have to change the whole system.
But like, how would
But when you change the system, it doesn't benefit the people that it's benefiting now. So they're not going to let it happen.
no? But like, let's say people are willing to change it. What would you do in the very beginning to change
With
school
the
system?
system, I don't know. Well, for one, I remember thinking like I would try to educate more that's applicable to like life to life. Like we
Give me an
didn't learn
example.
stuff like that. Like we didn't
Like
know
psychology,
finances.
finances.
Yeah, I got lucky that I had a psychology class in high school.
I didn't even
And
know
even
they
that it was
offered it.
selective. It was only one class in your year.
Yeah, I honestly don't know if my high school even offered it. They
Yeah,
might
no,
have.
I got lucky. But finances, which some schools do, but that's the thing. It depends where you live. Depends what kind of classes you get.
Yeah, I don't know. It's very tricky. Like you ever heard the quote where there's light there's shadows? I don't know
No,
if you ever
but
heard
that
that.
makes sense. Yeah.
Like there's light there's
Yeah.
shadows, right?
Well, I
So
think.
they say like if everyone was rich, there'd be no one poor. So
Mm,
which is why they try to keep it at a like impossible rate to accomplish it because there'd be no rich if there were no poor. So why make everyone rich? You know what I mean?
yeah, but I feel like that goes back to like power.
Correct. Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we branched out completely. Let's go back to the subject. But yeah, this is good. This is good. This is just a flowing conversation. Um. So we answered the first question, which is what effect does a person's upbringing have on them? I do have a question on that
Hmm.
actually. Let's say parents need to discipline their kids. What is the best in your way of experience so far? What do you think is the best approach to that?
Disciplining,
Obviously, hitting is a no go anymore.
corporal
It's
punishment is a no go. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, you have to like, if you're gonna do a consequence, you have to do it right after the whatever the crime. Sometimes like we'll use the word in like therapy. Like the punishment has to fit the crime. So if you're trying to like punish someone, like sometimes I see parents like the kid skips a class and then they're like grounded for a month. Like that's a very long time for like one class. Like it has to make sense. So it has to be right after. You have to make the child understand why they're being punished. Because I think some parents are like, they don't let their kids understand, like, they don't try to explain to them what they did wrong. And then they're like punished. And then the kid's kind of confused as to like what they did. So how are they learning from that if they don't understand why you're punishing them?
So like, what if I said, okay, you cut your class, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm punishing you for a week because you did this
That
action.
makes perfect sense. Yeah.
But you've all right. Here's where I'm going to play devil's advocate.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I hear that a lot. I've had so many nieces and cousins, by the way. Like we're talking 30 plus, so I've seen that. My cousins are trying to change their ways. Some hit, some don't. I will. I'm not going to tell you names, but I feel like this is just visually, and this is not on a study. This is just on my cousins and nieces that
Mm-hmm.
I've seen. A kid will know physically faster. I'm not pushing this agenda. Physically faster why they got hit than it being trying to be explained.
Why?
I've seen it. Like I've personally seen like if they said don't do that again or the next time you do it this is gonna happen like as in like they'll tell them like they'll take away their phone
Mm-hmm.
and you're not gonna have it for a week. Like we're giving you another chance, but if you do this again, this is the punishment. And my cousins end up doing it.
But that's because they were given a freebie.
So you're saying
There
that
was no
they
consequence.
should take their phone away in that instance.
That is the consequence. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe you see
They're
there we go.
basically saying like you got a freebie and the next time you're gonna get smacked. But it's like and then they do it again, but it's because there was never a consequence to begin with. You gave them the freebie.
Okay. So you're saying from the very second they do something, well not the very second, but the very moment they do
Very
it, there should
close.
be a consequence to their action.
Yeah.
Okay.
And explained and consequence is done. And that the consequence
But
matches
you
whatever they
do
did.
well you will agree with me here at least that kids are sometimes slow at learning. Sometimes kids will abuse power. Sometimes kids don't care, even if you do the consequence, and they'll do it again. Where do you take action from there?
It's because positive reinforcements overpowers consequences. So you want them to do something different, you have to show them how to do it different. And then when they do it, you give them a reward in some way, privileges in some way. That's more powerful than
No, no, no.
consequences.
You look comfortable.
Oh, because I was like backing up.
Yeah, you're good there. Okay, so how do you are you always saying there should be positive reinforcement over negative
For
reinforcement?
sure. If you can do positive more than negative, for sure.
Give me an example. Same thing, same subject, like kid cuts class. What's a
Hmm.
positive reinforcement for that?
They went to school straight for a week and you actually acknowledge it. It doesn't always have to be money or buying them something, but just simple acknowledgement and like praise.
So if you don't get a phone call saying he didn't cut class, you're
Praise
clapping.
them. Yeah.
Okay.
But that makes it hard for some parents because it's an expectation, but sometimes
It feels like that,
your
to be honest. What you're telling
expectations
me.
kind of just because you have an expectation doesn't mean that you shouldn't give them praise for it. They just respond. Everyone always responds with a good job. You know, your job can suck, but if you every once in a while get like, hey,
A
like
Dundee
I
Award?
appreciate that.
A Dundee Award, you mean? Have you ever seen The Office, by the way?
No, what is that?
That is
No, I don't watch
basically
it.
a an employment award.
There you go.
That's a positive reinforcement right there.
Yeah. And any way you can do a positive reinforcement. That's always gonna be more like it's gonna work out better positive reinforcements than consistently doing consequences. Because like you said, at some point they're not gonna care about the consequences. And then they're gonna absorb that they never do anything right, so why bother trying?
I feel like okay, so basically you're, but also in your field, right? You have to try out both. Is that what you're also telling me too?
We push for more positive reinforcements and consequences.
Did you ever? I'm sure you've heard this because I've my kids, my nieces and cousins have been through therapy, so I know this already.
Hmm.
They've been through therapy. They've tried the positive reinforcements, and sometimes my cousins don't react any differently.
How old are your cousins?
At the time, they were like 12, 14. That's also usually a kind of rebellious stage.
Hmm.
So I guess it kind of depends on patterns, maybe more, and we'll talk about it a little bit more
Hmm.
thoroughly later on. But all right. So let's see. So we were talking about no more physical abuse. That should not be ever the way to go. Now, my question to you is obviously the next question is what is trauma? How does that affect a person in the long run? What is I've personally been abused by the lady that's 4'11 that looks like
That's my height.
today everyone's like, this is the cutest lady I've ever seen. Your mom is so cute,
She
so
is cute.
adorable. Your mom would never hurt a fly. That is not true. My mom was a psycho.
Mama, will you be watching this?
Yeah, hope so. I'll put the translations just for her. My mom was crazy, and now today she'll deny it. She'll flat out deny that she did that,
Oh,
which is
really?
there's something psycho going on with me. Love her. I'm not. I'm allowed to say that though. But in a way, it could have been a traumatic experience for me, and it probably was at some point in my childhood. But after a while, 4'11 lady's not gonna really do much when you turn like 5'1. So as I got older, I knew how to handle my mom a little bit more, and my mom did exactly. Actually, believe it or not, I always tell my nieces this. So there's a famous speech that I gave my nieces that changed their whole life. I'm very proud of it. Very proud uncle. Um, changed my niece's whole life because my nieces were going down a bad route. They were making bad decisions, and I I was asked for my brother, my sister, please talk to my daughters. They respect you a lot. They look up to you. Can you talk to them? So I did. I gave them a speech. Made the speech very powerful. But I noticed that I got that speech from somebody, which is my mom.
Mm.
I like you said, the hitting didn't matter anymore. I would get hit and it didn't matter to me anymore. So my mom, I don't think she thought like a psychologist, but I thought like she was tired of hitting me and not doing anything.
Yeah.
But she finally sat down and like broke down, teared,
Mm.
told me like why she had. That's why I'm able to tell you why like we moved to Island Park because she told me this in a detailed like speech where she was like I did all this for you. You're my last hope. I know you can do it. There's so much potential in you, and it changed my life. That's the reason I was able to give that speech to my nieces. So I guess in a way you can say that yes, positive reinforcement is better, especially when they're being real with you, and especially when it comes
Yes.
to an age of understanding,
Yeah.
right? Because at that time when my mom did this, I was like about to be 16. So there was an age of understanding. So I feel like positive reinforcement will work as
But
long as the kid
also like being
understands.
real and being like not being afraid to be emotional with your kids. Because a lot of parents feel like they can't cry in front of their kids. Or like,
Yeah,
well, I'm not going to show vulnerability. It's like, so then how do you expect them to understand you first? And second, what role model are you playing for them? Because then you're also teaching them that they got to suck up everything
correct.
and they're going to internalize everything. Like little things like that. Like, then
Correct.
they're going to grow up that way.
I just gave myself my own like psychoanalysis or something. But yeah. But I'll personally tell you, I don't think I really received any trauma from the bad thing.
So there
From
could
the
be
hit.
traumatic events, but it doesn't mean that you're gonna have
I had some
like
bad hits.
PTSD after though. Like I feel like people confuse trauma with like the long term effects it has.
So
So
give me
like
the
you
difference.
and I can get into a car accident, and after 2 weeks you're over it, and here I am a year later, traumatized to drive from that car accident, and it could be the same exact car accident.
Different measures for different
Yeah,
point of views.
the event itself was trauma, but it doesn't mean it had long lasting effects on the person. It depends on the person and like their
Trauma can be a
biology.
week for one person, but it could be years for the other.
Trauma is like an actual event. Your
True.
emotional response is what creates it into like a mental illness.
Okay.
That's the difference. I think people either
Trauma is the event, and what happens after is what is it called technically?
it can then be PTSD or acute PTSD. Acute means it just lasts like
But some
a
people don't
certain
have to
time.
get PTSD. It
No,
could just be that event
and that's where it
and
is.
they move on.
Yeah, it doesn't mean they haven't seen trauma. They have, but the difference is it hasn't actually affected like their functioning
Mm.
later on in life. That's the difference. So that's why it's like, oh, my child didn't come out like messed up, even though I hit them. Okay, but some kids respond different than others, and how you do it matters, and the timing it matters. Was it a 1 year old? Was it a 3 year old? Was it a 5 year old? Like, it's like multi layered. It plays into that.
Learning, learning. Trauma is the event. I don't know. PTSD is the
Trauma's an
after
event.
effect.
Yep.
There we go. Um. Okay. What advice would you give a parent that wants to ensure their child has a healthy upbringing? I'm sure you hear that a lot during your field of work.
The first thing that comes up to me is role modeling, which I feel like is so hard because parents were also once kids,
Oh, as you
and
grow
they're
up, by the way, can you
yeah.
understand that like you can't you now you understand why adults never had their shit together because you don't feel like do you feel honest be honest with me. Other than you progressing educationally and maybe salary wise and employment wise, do you feel I mean, I do feel this is a stupid question, but do you feel that much older than you were when you were 21?
That much older.
Yeah.
I feel very different from when I was 21 to what I am now.
Really?
Oh, for sure.
Mature wise, probably, right? Through experiences of life. But I feel like, do you feel like there's a big, not like, I'm not asking like mentally, but I mean like
Emotionally,
societally. Like, do you feel like there's a lot that's changed from you?
society, like, what do you mean?
Like, you, to give, I'm not going to bring too much of it into detail and you tell me if I'm passing the line. But me and you, when we were fresh friends, we met at what age? Like 22?
Yeah, I had issues back then.
Yeah, yeah, but we met at like 22, right?
hmm
Okay. Can you honestly say that I'm that much different from when you met me? And I'm not talking about like wiseness. I'm talking just like me, who my character is.
No.
But that's what I'm trying to tell you. Like that's why I feel like
Do I seem different from when I was 21?
um yes.
Exactly. So I guess it depends the person.
Yeah.
Because I feel really different compared to like when I was
But yes, emotionally, but not yes as in like the person I met.
personality
I still
type, you
yeah.
mean? Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, like personality you're still the same person I loved that day. I was like, I love this girl. She's amazing. She's a friend of mine. I can
Oh,
tell we're
thanks.
gonna kick it. I remember our first hangout. We went to Panera.
Oh, was it? I
Yeah.
was like, because then I also remember green turtle.
Turtle green. Turtle
I
green.
was like,
The
wait,
fuck
what's
the
the name
turtle
of
green
it?
green
I
turtle?
haven't
Yeah.
been there in a while. I think they're
No,
still
we hung
there.
out at Panera Bread because that's when we found out we knew the same people.
You know, that's hilarious because the coworker I have now, we're like best friends now. Our first little outing was at a
Don't say
Panera
that.
Bread.
You're a fucking traitor, bro.
No,
You're
but I didn't remember ours. I'm not gonna lie.
obviously Turtle Green is where we met. Turtle Green, people. Turtle fucking green. All right.
Man, I have a thing for Panera Bread.
Yeah.
The way you do for Dunkin' Donuts.
Dunkin' Donuts. If you ever see this video, please sponsor me. Like, there's probably thousands of
This
dollars.
man has consumed a lot of
I
Dunkin'
could have
Donuts.
made
He
a
would
down
come 30
payment.
minutes in late if it meant stopping for some Dunkin' Donuts.
Shout out to Jody.
You probably still would do that. Oh my God, Jody.
No,
That's
there's Dunkin'
right.
Donuts like 2 buildings to the right of me.
I would still believe that you would be late if it meant
I'm
you
actually.
woke up late and you would
She
pick.
doesn't know me. I've changed. I'm on time now.
Yeah, okay.
All right.
That just means he wakes up earlier, but he still shows up with his Dunkin' Donuts probably.
No, I don't have to. I just walk. I'm the supervisor there. As soon as I'm like done with my supervisor stuff in the morning, I'm like, all right, guys, I'll be right back. I'm going to Dunkin'. Anyone want anything? I'll pick it up.
There you go.
But yeah, okay. So I'm sorry. So I know we were talking about the advice that you give a parent. So you said role model. How does
Yeah.
one display that? What advice would you give a parent that's trying to become a role model for their kid?
The first thing that came to mind is reflecting, like if they have been through any trauma or haven't, kind of just reflecting on their upbringing, what they appreciated it and how they can apply it. But I think sometimes it's hard for
Doesn't don't they learn that
parents,
from parents? That's what's like the confusing part.
which like
The kids, like what's important to them.
yeah,
Like that's what I'm saying. Like if a parent,
yeah.
I agree with
But
you 100.
sometimes
percent
there's parents that are like, do as I say and not what I do.
That's true. I've heard that a lot.
So that's why I was like role model. And some can't role model because they still haven't figured it out themselves.
Correct.
So like if you want to go deeper in that, like you have to figure it out yourself as an individual first to be a
Yeah,
good
don't be
parent.
smoking
You
in front
have
of your
to
kid.
be yeah. You're not gonna smoke cigarettes and then be mad that when they
They
start
smoke
smoking cigarettes
cigarettes. Yeah,
and I say don't do that because it's not
it's not.
okay. Well,
Yeah, it's a
you role
being
modeled
hypocrite at that point.
like you role modeled their way to smoking or you role model their way to punching walls if they're angry and they don't know how to manage their emotions. Do you know how to manage? Probably not because they probably learned from you how not to manage your emotions.
That makes
Things like that.
sense.
Role modeling is big, but for some people it's for some people it's just simple education and for others it's like they actually have to do their own individual work. I try to tell parents because I know like once you become a parent that for most like that I've known personally like that's what they are. And when I'm working with parents, it's like you're an individual first. And are you functioning as an individual? And then you're a mom or you're a sister or you're a daughter or you're a wife. Those are roles.
Correct. Do you feel like moms? I've seen this a lot in my family too. Do you feel like moms shouldn't pass that line of being best friends with their daughters, or do you think that's a okay depending on the partnership
I
they
think
have?
it depends.
But do you think that's a good way of going
It
about?
depends. I think it's risky, but it depends. I think when you're best friends, I think that's just like I would be concerned about certain boundaries, but for
Makes
some it
sense.
works because I think some can be that could be authoritative, but also still be a best friend. So I guess it depends. It has to be like other layers to just the best friend part, not just flat out like
Yeah.
friends.
The only reason I'm asking is that my nieces hate that I do this to them because obviously I'm not their mom, but I use that as an example more because it relates more. But as an uncle, I feel like I'm cool with them. I can, as they're getting older, I have to learn to respect that they're not kids anymore. It's been the
Hmm.
hardest
The
thing I
same
have to
thing
do.
that parents have to do. Yeah.
Yeah, and because and be honest, I'll be honest with you, my nieces are like I consider them almost like my daughters, kind of, because I'm very protective of them.
Mm.
So and I tell them all the time like it's they always tell me like, oh Theo, let's go grab a drink, and I'm like,
That's
no.
odd.
I'm like that's like a boundary line I'm not liking. I don't really want to pass, but they always say to me like you just chill, relax. You're with us. We're not young anymore. We're like 24. Just I'm 29, so but I don't know. I feel like I could pass that line with them, but I don't want them to see me in that light for some odd reason. You know what I mean? I feel like
See, it's a balance.
there should be an imaginary line, and that's the imaginary line that I'm comfortable with right now.
And the imaginary line is the called boundary.
You see
Yeah.
people don't be fucking passing that line. But eventually maybe I'll give in just because as I'm seeing them mature and grow up to become these beautiful young ladies that they're becoming, and I'm very proud of them. They're one. I'm not going to publicize it because she wants to tell the whole family herself, and it's good news. It's good news.
Yeah. I
It's
can only. I feel like I guessed it, but I'm not sure. I'm not
no,
gonna
no,
say
no,
it.
no,
I
no
don't know.
pregnancy, no
No. Okay. I
pregnancies.
was like, it sounded like a pregnancy.
No. That wouldn't be goodness to me. Don't do that yet.
She's 24. She can do it.
No, don't do that. But there's definitely good news in like career wise.
Okay.
So I'm just seeing them. I feel like their mature line is very good until they hang out with each other, and then they come out to these child personas, which I understand because I have that with my friends. I understand how it is. I guess I just don't want to see that side of them. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Like I like to see who they're becoming and not who they are when they're together. it's just fun because I come from the same fucking boat. I understand what that means. Like when I'm with my bros, oh man, I'm a fucking moron. I'm a fucking idiot. I'm the biggest dumb fuck you can have in the group. But then you see me in these podcasts, like, oh, that guy must have a really good
No, it's true though. Depending the space brings out a different part of yourself.
yeah, bro. Who you get ratchet with?
Who do I get ratchet
Yeah,
with?
there's definitely someone that take like that you come out with and just takes that ratchet just
I don't know about ratchet. Maybe if I was like younger, yeah. I know I sound kind of old saying if I was younger, but
you're
it's
not
true
old.
though. um, it would have to be like a best friend, yeah. It
Yeah.
depends their personality though too. That kind of brings out a different
Yeah,
part of
because
personality
it
too.
just makes
Yeah,
you like it triggers a memory. And it's like, oh, this person's like when I'm with them,
it's a vibe,
yeah,
so it makes a difference. Yeah, like how I talk to you is gonna be
we got to
different from
find out
how I
who
talk
who
to.
Giselle gets ratchet with. We definitely have to find that out. You know, you would think I would know,
I
but I don't know.
no, because I don't get ratchet anymore.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see about that. All right, let's move on to
This is like young 21-year-old G.
you were pretty crazy back in the day. She actually saved my life
Like,
a lot of times. She tried to. Bad decisions.
yeah, you would wander off, and I was like, "Where are you?"
There have been a lot of activities that I have wandered off from. She is not lying about that. I have disappeared, walked home, thrown up in random
Towns and
spots.
towns over, yeah.
But we can say we called it even. I've seen you at a pretty low
We
state.
don't gotta talk about that.
Yeah. You know, we've
We don't
seen
have to
each
talk
other.
about that.
We've seen each other in low
I'm
states.
just happy to say that was many years ago, and it's not anything
Actually, it wasn't that
recent.
far ago, honestly.
It was years ago.
We are in 2023? That's
Yeah,
like 4 or 5 years ago.
that is a while
It's not a
ago.
decade yet.
Yeah, it was like 24, 25.
What are some examples of what can happen to those that have unhealthy upbringings in their
Mm.
adulthood?
Well, that's when mental illness comes into play. Um, like borderline, like personality disorders usually it stems from like some trauma from when they're a kid.
Give me an example.
So, like your needs weren't met as a kid, whether that's like emotionally or you were neglected,
Okay.
like that can venture off into having a mental disorder when you're older.
My following question: what kind of mental disorder are you be talking about? Like, let's stick on that one that you said,
Like
neglected.
personality.
Yeah,
Yeah.
neglected. So personality disorder they can have.
Yeah. Usually borderline narcissism comes from trauma when they were in their
Will
childhood.
those people even know that they're displaying that until like they see a professional?
Maybe, maybe not. You know, there's so much like resources out there that I feel like people find out about themselves without going to a therapist because they're like on TikTok, on Instagram, and
That's,
like something
you
like
don't think that's
relates.
dangerous? Like, it's like Googling like a health
Yeah, and then
thing.
tells you got cancer,
Yeah,
and,
and it tells you
and you're
fucking
perfectly fine. Yeah, no, it is dangerous, but yeah, some won't know. Some wouldn't seek it, like therapy, but those are the people that struggle a lot in their relationships.
let me give you an example, right? I hear all the time. We see, and I'm sure you've heard of this on social media. You hear this from people that you're friends. I feel like everyone claims to say they have some type of ADHD,
Yeah, I don't know what that's about.
and it stems just from getting it from the internet or getting it from like people.
Yeah,
People will say something on a video like, if you do these certain things, you like half of the symptoms of ADHD are overthinkers. Like that's a symptom that they say, but that no, people could just be overthinkers
that
and
could be
not
anxiety and not
exactly.
ADHD. Yeah,
So let me ask you something. Okay, you mentioned before you said that mental disorder,
like substance
mental
use
disorders
disorders, mental health
can
disorders.
lead
Yeah.
off a traumatic event, right?
Mm-hmm.
If not treated properly, right? What are things that you're doing in your field that would treat these traumatic effects so it doesn't lead into a mental disorder?
Well, if they came to me, most likely it's already. So it's like how to treat the mental health disorder.
Let's say it's caught early though, like parenthood. Parents bring their kids because
Oh, okay.
kids were
Working
like,
with kids. Um, I mean, if a kid is presenting with any sorts of like mental health, I like to educate the parents first so that they know how to like handle their kids when they're like home. Um,
can you give? I'll give an example. So let's say the kid was in a car accident and doesn't want to get back in the car.
mhm.
How are you advising that parent to treat that kid's traumatic effect?
Ooh.
experience. Yeah, you told me. Come on.
I was gonna say that's a hard one because that's like exposure type of therapy. I don't even do that kind of therapy.
Okay, so give me an idea of what you kind of do because I didn't even ask that from the very
I work with kids that are like at risk of getting in trouble with like the legal system.
Okay, perfect. So
Yeah.
let's say a kid gets arrested for smoking too much weed when weed was illegal, not legal.
Oh, okay. I was like, what?
Yeah, just a couple years ago. Um, and parents
For
think like,
possession, basically. Yeah.
yeah, and parents like, fuck, I got to take my kid to therapy.
Yeah. Like, why are they smoking?
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
boom. What do we do there?
I help the kid figure out why they're smoking.
Dude, and I'm sure it's hard, right?
It is hard
Kids don't want to even.
because a lot of times they don't even know themselves.
Mm,
So I have to get to know the parents. I have to get to know the dynamic of the family, what stressors there are for the kid, if it's in home, outside of the home, help them link it. How does it make you feel? They might not know. Sometimes I do like activities with them to help them figure it out
okay.
and then teach them how to express that through their parents. And then teaching the parents how to listen.
Now you're basically, if I'm understanding you correctly, it stems out of something that the parents did, correct?
Either that or some trauma happened outside of the parents' control.
Okay, and the
Yeah, because
parents now
like
have to
random
learn.
traumatic
Yeah,
stuff happens. Yeah.
peer pressure, right? Like that's a perfect example. Friends just smoke and they put this kid to smoking.
That too, but I feel like you're more prone to peer pressure if you're insecure. And if you're insecure, where does that stem from?
Okay, so you're breaking it down to
Yeah.
very, very middle. Okay. Um, what was I gonna ask after? I was gonna ask a very good question. Oh, yes. So I'm assuming I know you're cutting it nice and easy, nice and dry, but it's never that easy, right? Sometimes parents don't want to
They don't want to
educate too
accept
much.
responsibility
Yeah.
or just,
How do you even break a kid's barrier nowadays? Because the only reason I'm asking is because we hear it all the time. Generation millennials, Generation X, Generation Z. Every generation is changing, and they're becoming more and more. This is my assumption. This is what the internet says. More introvert, right? Is that true? From what the patterns you're getting from most of your clients?
introvert that they keep everything in.
Yeah, like they don't want to vocalize everything. It's very hard to like take something out of.
I do have kids like that, but in my way of thinking about it, I don't really think about it from like a generational thing. I think when kids are quiet is because they've grown up in an environment where their voice hasn't mattered or they've expressed themselves and it's been dismissed.
So
And so
they
they
feel like
become
just
sheltered that way. Yeah.
mm,
Not because it's yes, so it still ends up rooting back to like upbringing with your parents. If you're dismissed all the time or if you're made to feel shameful for how you feel, then you're going to keep it to yourself moving forward and then claim that it's private. No, it's because you feel like you don't have a voice and it's a waste of time to talk about it.
that makes sense. That does make sense. But also, like, I guess what I also want to know is like, obviously, you're right now in this era of kids, but
Mhm.
as the generations go on, I'm assuming you still be in the field. Are you guys studying like how kids change? That like what the majority of the kids are in each generation?
I think the kids nowadays are a lot more aware of like mental health and boundaries.
You think so?
Yeah, cuz social media is like it's just all out there.
What do you mean aware though? Like they know of
They know a
mental.
lot. Yeah. They have a lot of information on their hands. They know a lot and they kind of so for example, I grew up in an era where you give respect no matter what to your parent. They can be disrespectful to you, but you are not to be disrespectful to them.
Latin families.
I didn't want to say it, but
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, I'll say it.
And these kids grow up that like respect is given and you give it, but it also needs to be received. And if it's not given to you, then you don't owe it back. And they apply it to their parents too. So generationally, they're just learning things differently.
You think that's the correct way too? You earn respect. Well, it's not really that parents say. I've heard it that way. Most Latin families say it that way, but my mom always says, "I'm respecting you. I should always get your respect."
Hmm.
She's like,
Even sometimes when they're not.
even when, because my mom, my parents never considered like hitting me disrespectful. That's their point of view. They considered it a consequence to my action. That's how they described it to me, right? And I wasn't a kid that challenged a lot. Like I didn't really care. Like I said, I was kind of rebellious at a certain age, certain like eras of my life, and but I also embedded that into me kind of because of them. I was like, they're right. Like if I always respect everybody. So I assume that respect should be given to me. But if you're not going to give me respect, then I'm going to be disrespectful back.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what you're saying. That kids are more like now,
Mm-hmm.
which is funny. Look at that.
A lot of kids nowadays want to see their parents like
Equals.
the role model again.
Oh,
Yeah. It's like, especially teenagers. Like, don't tell me to do one thing and then you're here doing something else. Don't tell me to be respectful to you, but then you're disrespecting me. Don't tell me to speak my feelings, but then when I speak it, you dismiss it. They just rebuttal more.
yeah.
The teens that I work with.
Yeah, no. But I mean, I see a big chunk of it with, you know,
It's a generational thing, but when you're able to like pin it that it's just about respect and that everyone deserves respect, like what parents gonna like
but I don't
rebuttal
know.
that?
I guess the only reason I feel like I could fight that is because I feel like a lot of kids say that and they don't end up respecting their parents at the end.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
They're
mean?
kids,
And
yeah.
there comes friction with that, and that that all comes in a
Yeah.
different case by case scenario, and that's
Especially teens, I
so
think.
they know it all.
Yeah, but that's part of the age though. That's like legitimate like part of the age. Being egotistical at a teenager, that's normal. And then a lot of parents don't know that. And it's like you're being disrespectful, but then they're not aware of like how much of it is normal and how much of it is not.
So, but how much should a parent like feed into that normalization? You know what I mean? Like, why should a parent bend? I get what you're saying. Like, a parent should not bend, but should understand. But I feel like when you're saying that, they're bending to their kid a little bit.
Why? You can still give consequences, but also still
Yeah, what if the kid doesn't give
age
a fuck?
appropriate.
Okay, like
That's how I get those kids that end up in my program.
yeah, no, because I've been that kid. You know what I'm saying? It took a stupid, not stupid. It took an amazing speech from fucking the dictator of 102 Waterford Road, and I used to live there. To give me, I like to clown on my mom. Sorry if you guys find
I
it.
was like, what?
Yeah, no, I like to clown on my mom
Like,
because
who is that?
I'm not. I like to joke around with her a lot. So that's just our relationship. I pretend that she's going mute. Like when she starts talking to me, I'm like, "What? What'd you say?" She's like, she looks at me
See, that's
like,
rude.
"Yeah, I know, but it's okay. I'm in an age that I can do that. I take care of my things, and also torture them. I gotta get some feedback. I gotta get some fun out of them. You know, I like to fuck with them sometimes, but they fuck with me all the time too. But I'm just saying, like, I don't know. But yes, like you were saying, that's a lot of how they end up in your program. The ones
Yeah.
that don't give a fuck.
Yeah. And then you have to filter out which ones are because of their upbringing and which ones are just straight up just not giving.
What do you do with the
And
not giving?
they're usually the ones that end up being petitioned and go to court.
What do you mean go to court?
So in my program, if their child's misbehaving and they're giving all these resources so that things in the home get better, things at school get better, the child gets better. But if they're like being very resistant to everything that's being given to them and they're still behaving the way that they are, they end up going to court.
Who's going to court? The kid?
The kid.
Emancipation? Like, is that what we're asking?
No,
Like,
court as in like probation, ankle monitors, you're being monitored,
now my question to
drug
you
screened.
is, who's putting that kid in court? Your company or the parents?
So the only two ways you get into the program is either the parent or the school. For them not going to school, the school can put a kid in it.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so you're dealing some trouble kids sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
You must look fierce. So you have to
Thank
you've
you.
had to get to like a thick layer of skin lately. Maybe you did change a little bit. Didn't you feel a little
Like thicker. Why are you going like this?
oh my
Maybe that's
fucking
the gym and not the actual.
I'm a little tougher, you know what I mean? Like kid acts wrong, you might have to
I'm soft with the kids, but I'm also realistic with the kids. At the end of the day, I'm not their parent. So I just try to like help them see like, is that working out for you? And if it's not, what can you do differently?
so you just keep it 100 with them.
Yeah, sometimes I tell them flat out like, you,
You don't
you
cap.
continue this way, and this is where you're gonna end up.
No cap. Do you try to keep up with the language?
Yes. Oh my God.
Dead ass.
I've been called old.
Well, dead ass is a thing that from our generation.
One time I said, if there were any jocks in the high school, and they're like, right away, he's like, jocks. No one uses that word anymore. I was like, oh, I'm
What do
sorry.
they use?
I asked, and he was like, they don't use any words. And I was like, oh, okay. I was trying to see what the replacement for jock was
Honestly, you kind of sound a little
with
old
that
for me
kid.
too. Like, what the fuck? I don't think we ever called them jocks either. What the fuck is that, Giselle? She might be
Maybe
old.
I got them from movies or
Yeah,
something.
I
I
think
don't
you've been
know.
watching some 80s
But I had
movies.
said jocks and like I
I
didn't
think
even
she's been
realize
watching
this.
Grease on like replay. What the
I didn't
fuck?
even
I
realize
just
this.
noticed when she said, I was like, what? Did she just say jocks?
I don't know.
The hell?
It wasn't until the kid called me out on it that I was like, oh, okay. Let me erase that word from my
Please
vocabulary.
do. Even
But yeah, cap I learned from the kids.
cab, yeah.
Um,
Oh, sanction. You know sanction?
no, what is that? You see,
It's
I
like
feel like I need a book.
sanction is facts.
It's just another word for facts.
Yeah. That's all. That's about my knowledge.
There was another. There's like no. There's some new ones.
I like watching the TikToks and the reels where the dude that's like our age like has a kid and is like, "Yo, bro, these are the words my kid taught me today," and he like acts it out. Is like hilarious. That's a that's a dad moment right there.
But yeah, I do learn the lingo. I
Oh,
don't even know if they use the word lingo.
they probably don't. That's
Old.
that's phased out, bro. You gotta get with the program. If you know any words that we can catch up on, please leave it in the
Let me know.
comments.
Put it. Yes,
I don't even
please.
think any of you kids are watching this.
Or
If
if
you
you're
are,
hearing your nieces and nephews or kids using it, I need an updated list.
I got.
I gotta be
We'll make
cool.
it happen. My nephews can make it happen. My nephews are very smart kids. Very smart kids thanks to their phones now. They just got phones this year. They're 12. They're Sandy babies. So
Also,
they're
at least
11.
they're not like 7-year-olds with phones. That's fine.
Yeah, yeah. So they could probably give you a nice update
I'd
list.
appreciate that.
We got you. We got you. We talked crazy. Guess how long we've talked?
An hour?
An hour and 6 minutes already.
What?
Yeah.
We went through like 3 questions.
Now we actually went through all the questions.
Oh, did we really?
Well, not all of them. There's some topics and then the amazing statistics that I want to actually reference. Okay, here you sent me a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for doing your homework because I was definitely a little lost in the beginning when you told me to research. I even told you what I researched, and I was reading articles on articles about
It's cool.
theories versus other
Yes.
theories versus other theories versus other theories. So, like I was telling her earlier when we were having some food before. I was like, there's a famous theory that they believe that if something is wrong with the individual, that it stems back from their families. And then I told her there was another famous scientist. I don't know their names. I should have screenshotted it.
It's too
But
many names.
yeah, there's too many names.
Yeah.
Definitely too many names. He believes that it comes from the society bubble that you put yourself in, like the people you hang out with, the group of people you just decide to look up as your role models,
Mm-hmm.
and it comes from that. But then there's other people that say within time it kind of blends in, it bleeds into depending. It could be many factors, and that's
Yeah.
what her job is basically to.
Because it'd be a mix of both, but at the same time, like the people that you chose to hang out with, like, does that root still from family?
Mhm. It's true.
And then there's theories. Oh my gosh, I was reading up
Tell me,
because I
tell
was
me.
trying to like catch up and stuff. I don't know if people have heard of Freud because he's a very common
Freud,
name.
yeah.
Yes, people
Oh
know
fuck
Freud.
Freud.
Is that what you call
I
him?
remember him in my psychology class. I I
Yes.
I remember I put nicknames to the people that I need
Oh,
to
to
know,
memorize him?
so I call him
That's
Old
smart.
Fuck Freud. True
And
story.
it's stuck since then, huh?
Old Fuck Freud. I think his first name. Don't tell me. Old Fuck Freud. Let's see if I remember. Something with an S.
Yeah.
You see? I told you I'm not lying. You see? Old Fuck Freud. I remember something with an S. I don't know.
Was that the whole sentence that you memorized? And then you
It's
ended with something
multiple
with an
choice. It
S.
was multiple choice, so I just needed to know his name. It's like this guy is responsible for this theory,
And then it ends with an S.
and I'm like, Old Fuck Freud. That's all I remembered.
And ends with an S.
What was his full name?
I don't even know. I'm just kidding. There's like
Sigmund.
yes.
There we go. Okay, continue.
But yeah, because I was like trying to like so his theory was if you overfed a child, they can grow up to be very aggressive.
Overfed.
Yes. And if you underfeed, which is neglect, then they can grow up to be codependent on other people. And the same thing with potty training. Like if you're too strict, like all that plays also into like your personality and how you grow up. It's as young as like
Um, are we actually talking about food wise?
yeah, like if you actually overfeed a kid.
Why does it become aggressive? So mention it one more time.
So if you overfeed your child,
Uh huh.
they can grow up to be obsessive and aggressive.
Obsessive and aggressive.
If you
Is there
underfeed
like a
them,
correlation? He's saying there's a correlation
he
with that.
says in his theory that there's a correlation. And if you neglect them, then they can be codependent on other people, which that one makes perfect sense.
So if you don't feed them,
Yeah, if like you underfeed them.
but this is based off, like, is it like is this kind of like what's the word I'm looking for? He's talking legit food,
Yeah,
like overfeeding them,
yeah.
or just I thought like it was kind of like a way he's saying like overfeed with attention, love.
No, because the
That could also
first,
work the same way.
yeah, because the first, there's like different stages.
Okay,
So then there's like oral stage. So you meant that in the oral stage.
gotcha.
So that's what makes it food. And then there's latex and the potty training and latex and
That is crazy.
yeah,
Okay,
just
thank
pretty cool things like that.
thank you for mentioning that. I actually had some. You just made me realize I have my questions
Oh,
that
what
I
are your
had.
questions?
Yeah. Um. Oh no. Okay, so that was great. There, old fuck Freud. Thank you.
That starts with an S.
Starts with an S. Yeah.
I can't get over that.
Um, do you is there too much? Is there like a big con from coddling your kid too much? Giving too much love to your kid. That's where I reached out from that.
I feel like coddling, giving too much love are like two different things. Because coddling is like giving them absolutely everything and like spoiling them even when they shouldn't.
Okay, so
Like
maybe
even when
too
it's
much love.
bad behavior and then you're still spoiling, that's like coddling.
Okay, that makes
But too
sense.
much love is different. Like,
You
you
don't
know,
think too much love is bad,
no, a lot of love is important.
but you don't think that's gonna like create a pattern where they're looking for, like we always say, right? You said in the beginning, we kind of try to pick a partner that resembles our parent in some way.
Mm-hmm.
You don't think they're gonna go and rule everyone out if that person's not giving them the love that their mom did or their dad did?
Rule them out.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean?
Like we just said, like you just said, too much love is not considered bad. But I'm like,
Mm-mm.
well, what if they're looking for that in a partner?
Oh, that's different. I was thinking of it as like giving to a kid.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like you don't
Oh,
think that could lead
gotcha.
into like into a bad way of a pattern. Like sometimes I see,
Hmm. Not necessarily. This is why psychology is so complex because, like, there's other factors that play into that. Is it too much love and you're not teaching them boundaries? Is it too much love but at the same time you're showing them it's conditioned? Like, there's like so many like levels to it that
I
like makes
I get it.
like yeah,
You're bleeding into other topics.
yeah, because it all like coincides.
What if I were to ask you, what's the perfect way? No, that bleeds into everything. But I still have other questions.
But that's psychology for you though.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Everything bleeds into everything.
Old fuck Freud.
Starts with
Uh,
an S. You could probably make a whole video just on
old fuck Freud. Yeah, I'm gonna start off the episode like that. Um, I'm gonna put his face over mine and start talking. Uh, let me hold on. Let me break my red.
So coddling, yes, is bad, but too much love. I don't think there's such thing as too much love.
Okay.
Not to a kid.
So I mentioned the articles I was reading, and somewhere in the article I told you it said that a person, one of these scientists, or one of these therapists, believe that a lot of people believe that person believed that an individual that was suffering through something, it came from a family systematic pattern,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now let's say this person is not a kid anymore. They
Mm-hmm.
work majority with kids, but they're trying to break from that pattern. How does one accomplish that
Break
once they discover the problem?
once
They've
they break
discovered
from
it.
a negative pattern.
Yeah.
Do you have an example of a negative
Yeah.
pattern?
Perfect one. Parents divorced and now they're cheating on all of their spouses. Like I find a cheating pattern.
Ah,
Yeah, something like that. That's just top of my head.
well, they have to process the divorce, and so a kid can process a divorce and think it usually ends up generalizing like relationships never work, and so they cheat because they rather do the cheating and walk away than be rejected.
Or get the heartbreak.
Yeah. So they would basically have to process the trauma because a divorce is a trauma. That's considered a traumatic event.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Oh,
like
I think
that's
it
like a
is.
stinging one because like that's not just like a one-time thing. Like that's like a whole process.
Yeah, like mom and dad, bye.
Yes, and then
Ugly
depending how
fights.
they, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, okay, I get
yeah,
it.
you would have to process how that's pretty much changed your view on relationships, how that's changed your view in the world, or how it's changed the view. Sometimes it's like looking at men different or looking at women different depending on how it played out with your parents.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay, you had some questions, all right. I know now that you've discussed to me what your field brings, like what you do in your job, this might not be a great question, but maybe you can answer it.
Okay.
When does someone in your field start, um, right now, start with, oh, when does someone in your field start realizing that the person you're helping is getting emotionally abused at home? Like, what are the signs of that?
Lack of boundaries, codependency. If it's physical, obviously, like, yeah, I would see some bruises and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, even gaslighting their own selves. It'll play out. Like they'll say something and they're like, "But I'm being too sensitive." It's like, where's that coming from?
That stems from someone.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Yeah. So it's like, where's
you got that boundary from
yeah.
somebody.
Or sometimes the way basically that they talk to me about how their partner's talking to them, or like, oh, they had an issue that I went out, or he prefers that I don't have friends, or she prefers that doesn't matter, like the pronoun, things like that. You can tell it's like there's abuse going on.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's it. The other question we kind of like roughly talked about within the things. I'm gonna ask you some fire questions. This is the way this game goes.
Oh, it's a game.
Yeah, fire questions. First response that comes to your head, you tell me.
It's like one worded.
Can't change the answer. Yeah. You ready?
How many questions are there?
There is
30.
4.
So the first word that comes to my mind.
I mean, it's the first answer. It's not a word. It's the first answer. Yeah. And,
okay.
I don't want you to think too much about it. And I mean, obviously, you're gonna have to think. So if you have to think, that's fine. But just whatever comes to your brain first.
Does it have anything to do with the topic or no?
No, it's completely random.
Okay.
Completely random, by the way. Completely random.
Ooh, game.
Yeah. All right. Fire questions. We're gonna start with the first question. Giselle, what's the first thing you do if you won $1 million today?
Go on vacation.
Where?
Costa Rica, Spain. I have a whole list. Egypt.
So you hit a bunch of spots.
Heck yeah.
Okay, beautiful. Choose at first, remember, people. Okay.
Yes.
Question number 2. If you could choose to have, this one's lame, but it's in it. If you could choose to have a superpower, what would you choose and why?
You see, the first thing that came up, I don't have an explanation for though. Invisible. I don't know why.
I said the same thing.
But like now I'm over here thinking like, wait, why is that the first thing that comes up to my mind? Why invisibility? I don't know.
Not because I'm creepy, all right? Because if there was a tough situation, I can just put my fucking invisibility on and get the fuck out.
Oh my gosh, I was thinking the same thing. I feel like it's just like a cop. We missed that one. Yeah, that was a bad one.
3. If you're about to get into an unfair fight, who are you calling to have your back and why?
Unfair fight, and who am I calling to have my back?
They're about to jump you.
I was about to say, are they like girls? Like, who are these people?
Random bitches that don't like you, and you need one girl to come and get your back.
Oh man, like I have like 2.
You can name 2 first.
All right, Crystal and Sasha.
Crystal's the first answer. We're gonna use Crystal. Okay.
And you know Crystal.
Do I?
Yeah, from upstate.
Yes, Crystal.
Okay, why are you gonna say? Yeah, erase that. No, erase that. Don't even put that up there. Yeah, let's cut that part. Let's make sure we cut that part.
Crystal, I'm so sorry.
You know she's Hispanic, right?
Crystal, I'm very sorry.
She's Puerto Rican, actually.
Question number 4. If you could time travel, would you go to the past or the future?
Ooh. Would I go to the past or the future? Oh, that's a hard one.
Yeah, if you go to the past, you got to tell me what timeline you're going into, like around decade-wise. But if you go to the future, you can just tell me why you're going to the future.
But I feel like going to the future is kind of cheating.
I mean, I'm not going to give you my answer until you answer yours. It'd be creepy if you said mine.
Future or past? I guess I would go to the future. No, it seems like cheating.
Why would you go to the future?
Because Because it kind of can give me an indication of what I can do in the present time, you know, when I get back. Or what can I change?
To make it a better future.
Yeah. Or
I
if it's a
like that.
great future, then it's like,
You kind of said
that's pretty
Franklin's
validating.
You kind of said Franklin's answer. That's what Franklin said.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Franklin said he would go in the future just to make sure he sets himself
It's
up.
like a learning experience. Yeah, yeah.
You just want to be a wealthy fuck.
Right? Did I invest in the wrong stock?
Yeah, it's basically what he's saying. Invest in Google at the age of 5. Well, honestly, that is it. We did an hour and 15 minutes.
That's not bad.
I told you it was gonna be good. Maybe like 20 minutes of it, I might have to edit out in the beginning, but it was just to get. Yeah, exactly. You have to give me the title though. This part I'll edit out. You have to give me the title. Is it just gonna be called family? No, individual development. Some you texted it to me.
Adulthood's an extension of your childhood.
Yes.
I don't know.
But I hope you guys enjoy this episode. This was Giselle. She's definitely gonna be back. I need you on the group pod. I definitely need you.
Okay. I didn't even know I was gonna be back,
No,
but okay.
back.
Are you paying me next time?
I won't think about it.
All right.
I'll take you somewhere. Thank you guys for watching. Good night.